Yo, welcome back to the Puncher's Point. Mario and Breezy, we are back at it again with another prediction episode. Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall 2, which was going to be taking place in Leeds, England. Obviously, these two fought before. They had themselves a great fight, a very controversial win for Josh Taylor. A lot of people thought Jack Catterall won that fight, but obviously they get to run it back. This fight was originally supposed to happen earlier, but it got postponed. So we're going to predict it right now. Now, this fight is going to be happening in late May. It is going to be happening in on May 24th. So all I can say is this is kind of early for us as far as a prediction episode. This is kind of early, not too much, but it's kind of early. So we're gonna get straight into it. I want to start off with Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor, obviously, last fight taking a loss to Teofimo Lopez. And now people are wondering, well, does Josh Taylor still have it? This is the road to getting back to becoming a 140-pound champion. And a lot of people are questioning whether or not Josh Taylor still has it. And this is the fight that he has to prove it. As far as Jack Catterall got to get his get back. His only loss on his record is Josh Taylor. And a lot of people feel like that wasn't a loss. So let's start off with Jack. Oh, wait, excuse me. Let's start off with Josh Taylor. Breezy, give me your strengths, your weaknesses, and overall just keys to victory for Josh Taylor.
Josh Taylor, I feel like a lot of people forgot who Josh Taylor is just because he had the controversial win against Jack Catterall, and of course he had that dominating loss to Teofimo Lopez. But people got to realize, and I keep saying it each and every time in these podcast episodes, fighters have off night. They have off performance. Sometimes they do take losses. People are forgetting who Josh Taylor was and the kind of fighter that he is. What people got to remember about Josh Taylor is that Josh Taylor, he knows how to pressure you. He knows how to push you back. He does how to mix up his punches. He does know how to come from the body and come back up to the top. One thing about Josh Taylor too is that Josh Taylor sometimes have moments where he slips in those kind of power punches that kind of wear and tear on you. He's kind of like a break you down type fighter. Now, one thing I will say this about Josh Taylor, as far as his weaknesses, is that, and I seen in the Teofimo Lopez fight, Josh Taylor tends to do like this kind of dip with his body, and he tries to come back up with some kind of like straight or some kind of jab. And I see him tend to get caught with that shot a lot of times when he keep doing that. And the thing about it is, like, yeah, while it may be convenient at times, and a lot of times it could be moments where it could be very detrimental because he does put himself at risk to be getting countered. You saw in the Teofimo Lopez fight, there was times where Teofimo almost stopped him because he kept trying to dip in and come up with a straight, come up with a jab. Instead of just using head movement, he tends to try to drop his whole body, which I never kind of understood that. And you can see at times in Josh Taylor's career, when he gets met with pressure, sometimes he just throws. And it's almost like it doesn't really much land anything, but it's more so just he's just throwing just to kind of get the fight off of him. So that's one thing I noticed about Josh Taylor that it's kind of like a weakness to me. Um, One thing about him too is that sometimes like when the pressure is getting too much on him, it's like he kind of shields up. He just kind of stops and he doesn't try to make adjustments. And that's one thing I say too. When you're in the fight where you may be losing or maybe the fighter has the upper hand on you, you have to find a way to make adjustments. One thing I've seen about him, he doesn't make adjustments. And the thing about it is too, once the pressure get hard on him, you know, it's just like he swings with caution. And when he does that, he's like I said, he leaves himself to get, knocked out, dropped, or hit with something heavy. But what I will say is, do a lot of people tend to forget that on a good night, Josh Taylor can outbox you. He can back you up. He can place you with the combinations. He come up with the hook. He come at you with the 1-2 hook. Come at you to the body. He does go to the body. A lot of people tend to forget that. You look at his highlights. He does have some knockdowns because of him going to the body. So he's very, very, very active at the body. So people got to remember that just because he has those losses and that controversial loss or whatever controversial win, Josh Taylor is still a good fighter. So what keys to the victory for him is don't get backed up. Don't let yourself end up getting pressured and don't let yourself end up fighting on the back foot. You end up trying to fight on the back foot, it's not gonna really go your way. Um Start going to the body early on. That's another key to victory. Start going to the body early on. You wear a lot of guys out when you go to the body. You may not have crazy power, but you have enough power to where these guys ought to go to the body. And third and final, not in final, use your footwork. When you use your footwork too in your boxing, just box. That's what you're really good at. Don't try to slug it out with nobody. Box, move, stick, move, go to the body, use your combinations, be unpredictable. Those are my keys to victory for Josh Taylor.
Those, like you said, he can outbox anybody on his best day, and we saw that against Jose Ramirez. Him versus Jose Ramirez was the fight to make at 140 at the time. And Josh Taylor went in there and proved that he is that guy by beating Jose Ramirez. That was probably, in my opinion, his best win was against Jose Ramirez. He's beating guys like Regis, Prograis. He's beating guys like Jack Catterall, quote unquote. Obviously, we talked about how controversial it is. And on May 25th, because I want to clarify myself, I want to correct myself for saying May 24th. On May 25th, we got to find out whether or not he can do it again. The 140-pound division is pretty open right now, and I think that Josh Taylor needs this win to kind of solidify himself as a 140-pound contender. Now, as far as strengths for Josh Taylor, I think he is a very good counterpuncher. He is a very good counterpuncher. I'll even argue that he's probably one of the best counterpunchers in the 140-pound division. He's that good. He's a very reactive fighter. He likes to react to what his opponent is going to do. Josh Taylor can push the pressure. He can, but what he likes to do is he likes to counterpunch. He likes to react to what his opponent is doing and then push the pressure, which is what I really like. I do think that he's got some good defense. I do think that he has good defense, but like you mentioned, there are times where he kind of ducks his whole body and he'll run into something that he shouldn't run into. For example, he ran into hit that Jack Catterall hit him in the first fight. The one that knocked him down is because he kind of leaned his whole body down, and Jack Catterall was able to capitalize on that. Teofimo Lopez, there were many times where he kind of was looking for a specific punch, and again, he leaned his body down, and Teofimo was able to hit him with that uppercut. Teofimo had a lot of success with that uppercut, and he had a lot of success with hitting Josh Taylor. The other thing about Josh Taylor is his stance can be a little wide sometimes. And the reason why that's a problem with a fighter is because you leave your body open. And a guy like Jack Catterall, I think he's going to try to take advantage of those body punches the second time around. So I think with Josh Taylor, you kind of have to kind of adjust that stance a little bit. You can't keep looking for the same punches. Now, as far as other strengths that Josh Taylor has, I do believe Josh Taylor is a very versatile puncher, and he's very good at picking when to throw certain punches. It seems like he just knows when to throw an uppercut. It seems like he knows when to throw a hook. It seems like he knows when to throw a jab. With Josh Taylor, he's very intelligent when it comes to his punch selection. He's not just going to throw random punches and hope something sticks. He's going to make sure that he throws the right punch when it happens. However, the problem is with Josh Taylor, sometimes he relies a little too heavy on one punch, like a right hook, and that can cost him like it did in the Teofimo Lopez fight. Teofimo Lopez outclassed him. Teofimo Lopez proved that he was the better fighter that night. Jack Catterall, there were moments where Jack Catterall proved that he was the better fighter that night. However, with Josh Taylor has to stick with his bread and butter, which is be a counterpuncher, react to what Jack Catterall is going to do, take what he gives you. That's the first step. Number two, make sure that when you're doing this counterpunching, make sure you hit him with the right punches like you've been doing. But last but not least, number three, we need to see good defense from Josh Taylor and not him leaning down and getting hit with uppercuts. We need to see the Josh Taylor that is going to counterpunch you. We need to see the Josh Taylor that's going to use his head movement and his guard to kind of throw you off balance. And we need to see the Josh Taylor that beat Jose Ramirez. Because if we see that Josh Taylor that lost to Teofimo, or we see that Josh Taylor that had that fight against Jack Catterall, I don't think it's going to end the same way, Breezy. So to me, counterpunch, choose your punches wisely, and use good defense. And in my opinion, if he could do those three things, I think he can have a very good win against Jack Catterall. Now, let's get to Jack Catterall real quick. Same thing, strengths, weaknesses, and his keys to victory as well, Breezy.
Jake Catterall has nice feints. That's one thing I realized from watching his highlights. He knows how to lead you into thinking he's throwing one shot. When he's in reality, he's throwing another one. Another thing, too, is he likes to catch fighters on the backhand. He keeps that backhand ready up. He keeps the jab hand in front of him, ready for the feints, ready to lead you on. Then he catches you with the backhand. Now, one thing I say this, too, Jack Catterall also has some nice, decent power to him also. But with Jack Catterall, it's more so of a I lead you into a shot that you don't see coming. And one thing about Jay Catterall is that when he gets you hurt, he's going to try to finish you. He's going to try to stop you. But the problem with that is too, is that kind of like with Earl Spence and Io Inouye, he kind of drops his head down when he's going for a body shot. And we've seen in recent history what happens when you try to drop that head and go to the body. You get dropped and get countered. And sometimes even when Catterall is throwing shots or throwing certain haymakers, you see that he's kind of turning around a little bit, he'll get off balance. Now, let's say he gets in the ring with somebody who's a little bit quicker to pick up on that and they counter him and they drop him or they hurt him because he gets too overly whelmed with trying to pressure somebody or beat or try to get a stoppage. And he gets off balance and he gets caught and he gets knocked down. That's something you have to work on. It's trying to learn how to stay on balance, even in moments where you're trying to be the dominant pressured fighter. But for as far as his jab, he got a nice decent jab. It's a very stiff jab. It's a very push you back type jab. He'll get it in there. He'll get it out there. Now, as far as head movement, like I said, I see some head movement, but I feel like in this fight with Josh Taylor, I want to see him more. Not saying he didn't use it the first fight, not saying he don't use it his other fight, but I definitely want to see it more. You're gonna be dealing with Josh Taylor, who's got something to prove. Keys to victory for this situation is that keep the jab out there. Keep jabbing him, keep him on the end of that jab, keep using your feints. Make the fight tough for Josh Taylor. Push him back. Get him against the ropes. Second keys of victory. When you're going to the body, try not to dip your head in. Like I said, we seen fighters like Earl Spence and Io in a way try to go to the body and they dip their head in when they're going to the body. Try not to dip your head in when you're going to that body. Third keys to victory. Basically, try to out counter the counter puncher. Because at times, Josh Taylor is going to wait for you to try to throw some so he can counter you. So, in the grand scheme of things, take away Josh Taylor's best attributes. His best attributes is to ground and pound you and break you down, especially against some ropes. Let's say you get in a position where Josh Taylor gets you against the ropes. Counter punch the counter puncher. And at last, like I said, keep the jab out there and keep the feints going. Make it a confusing night for Josh Taylor. That's my breakdown for Jay Catterall.
What I like about Jack Catterall, excuse me, what I like about Jack Catterall is he's very explosive, very explosive, and it seems like every single punch he throws, it's meant to have bad intentions behind it. He don't throw a regular jab just to touch you up. No, he throws that jab to make sure that he's going to bust your nose. He don't throw a body punch to kind of get you to slow your gas tank up. No, he throws a body punch to make sure that he cracks your ribs. And this is what he does. He is that type of guy. And the one thing I found that was very similar with him and Josh Taylor is both of them are going to do anything they can to make sure that they let their message be known. Both of them are going to do anything that they can to get that last punch. And I've seen many times where both of them have punched the guy after the guy was knocked down just to kind of double check to make sure that that guy is knocked down, just to kind of leave no doubts behind. And they're both not going to. And the one thing about Jack Catterall, especially, but both of them, but Jack Catterall especially, he's not going to wait for the ref to break you off. He's not going to do that. He's not going to wait for the ref to make a decision. He's going to make that decision for you. He is going to be that guy that is going to say, guess what? Don't wait for the ref to break me off you. I'm going to do it myself. And I'm going to make sure when I do, I'm going to make sure that the punishment is going to be known. That's what I like about Jack Catterall. Now, like you said, he's got some sloppy footwork. Sometimes he gets way too aggressive and he'll lift that back foot up. No matter what you do for new boxers that are coming out there, no matter what you do, make sure your feet are on the ground. Keep your feet on the canvas. Don't ever lift up your foot. Because the second you lift up your foot and you get hit with something, you're relying on one leg to keep you up. And that is not a good chance, especially with the boxers that these guys be facing, especially with a guy like Josh Taylor. If Josh Taylor can counterpunch him and he's on one leg, I don't like Jack Catterall's chances, man, of staying up. So to me, Jack Catterall got to fix his footwork. I'll say that right now. He has to fix his footwork if he's going to win this fight. So that's one of the keys to victory for me. Fix your footwork and make sure that you keep your feet planted. Make sure that you throw your punches with bad intentions. The last fight, what he did good against Josh Taylor was he did a very good job of smothering his space and invading, his personal space, his personal bubble. He did a very good job of kind of shrinking the space on Josh Taylor so he can end up getting off some punches. And I think he did a very good job with that. And I feel like that's something that he needs to go back to. Don't give Josh Taylor the breathing room to make a decision. Take that away from him. Smother the space and make sure that you suffocate him when you're in that ring. And last but not least, like Breezy said, you have to kind of counterpunch the counterpuncher. And that's something that Tiafimo did when he beat Josh Taylor. If you noticed, he was Tiafimo was the first to react. Josh Taylor would react to Tiafimo, and Tiafimo would counterpunch him that way. That's something that Jack Catterall should be doing. Jack Catterall is a very aggressive fighter, and I feel like if Jack Catterall starts off fast and he's able to get Josh Taylor to react, I feel like he's going to have a really good chance of knocking him down again and possibly knocking him out. So to me, my three keys to victory is improve your footwork, be explosive, and smother Josh Taylor's space again. And last but not least, get Josh Taylor to react. And then when he goes to react, hit him with a counterpunch. Look for those opportunities where Josh Taylor kind of leans his body down. Look for those opportunities where Josh Taylor turns his head. And look for those opportunities where you can take advantage and possibly knock him out. With that being said, I say we go straight to predictions. But before we do, I do want to read the odds. So right now, the odds are pretty close. And I thought they would be a lot further considering Josh Taylor won the first fight. But we got Josh Taylor minus 115. We got Jack Catterall minus 110. So Josh Taylor is a very, very slight favorite. Now, total rounds over 10 and a half, that is minus 290, and under 10 and a half, that is plus 200. So those odds are pretty close as well. Josh Taylor by decision is plus 180. Josh Taylor by KO is plus 400. Jack Catterall by decision is plus 200. And Jack Catterall by KO is 370. So to kind of put that into perspective, the odds are higher for Jack Catterall to get a knockout. The odds are higher for Josh Taylor to get a decision. Vegas thinks that this fight is going to go over 10 and a half rounds, and the slight favorite is going to be Josh Taylor. So with that being said, Breezy, give me your prediction. Who you got win this fight? Do you think it ends by knockout? Just overall, give me the prediction.
It's the story between a guy who's been robbed and a guy who needs to redeem himself in the eye of boxing after taking a controversial win and a loss. Give me Josh Taylor. I think we about to see Josh Taylor remind a lot of people in boxing who he is and who people forgot that he was. It's crazy because in the sport of boxing, it's like 1 minute they love you, the next minute they hate you. And all it takes is a bad performance or a loss. We've seen that with literally so many fighters. I believe Josh Taylor. And look, let me know. I don't think he would have took this fight had boxing fans and the boxing pundits been on his head about it. I believe we would have never seen this fight had they not been on his head about it. So I think now, especially since they're accusing him of ducking, I think now he has a bigger point to prove. Y'all think I cheated this man out of a win. Now y'all thinking I'm ducking him? I think with all that, I think that's a lot of motivation on a guy like Josh Taylor to go in there, have a great camp, pull out a win. When I see a win, an actual decisive win. Do I think this fight gets stopped? No. I don't see either guy stopping either guy. Absolutely not. No. I believe this will be Josh Taylor beating Jack Catterall via unanimous decision. And I think it's going to be a very nice performance from Josh Taylor. And I think Catterall is going to have his moments, but I think Josh Taylor is going to come in there. It's going to kind of like the Ramirez fight. Not saying he's going to drop him, not saying he's going, but it's going to be kind of like a reminder that, oh wait, Josh Taylor, he can back you up. He can. It's going to be a reminder to folks, And we know how the first fight went. I get it, but I do believe that Josh Taylor is about to remind a lot of people that they forgot who he is.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to take Josh Taylor. I'm going to take him by TKO. I think he's gonna get the job done. I think he's gonna TKO him. I think we're gonna see the same Josh Taylor against Jose Ramirez, but slightly better. I'm not gonna lie to you because I haven't seen Josh Taylor bounce back after suffering a loss. I haven't seen that yet. And we're going to find out May 25th. I haven't seen how Josh Taylor adjusts when he doesn't have a good performance because he hasn't rematched people before. So, to my recent knowledge, if I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments. But I'm going to go Josh Taylor knockout. And the odds for that is plus 400. So those are a lot of people think that if it's going to end by knockout, most people think that it's going to be Catterall and not Taylor's. But I'm going to go Josh Taylor by TKO. I think Josh Taylor is going to go in there. I think that it's probably going to be a late TKO. I'm probably going to go like round. I'm going to go round 9. I think round 9 TKO, Josh Taylor gets it done. I think that his counterpunching ability is going to be something put on display. And I've said it many times in the example with Canelo and Triple G. The first fight, Triple G beat Canelo. A lot of people know it. A lot of people believe it. But you know what? You get beat so bad, and then you get that rematch. You have a lot of stuff to learn. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of things to pick apart. In the second fight, it was a lot closer, and I think Canelo got that win. And then the third fight, Canelo solidified that he got that win. So I feel like in this specific case, it's kind of the same thing. Josh Taylor, he had a very bad performance against Jack Catterall. A lot of people think he lost, but in those types of performance, what separates good boxers from great boxers is the good boxers are going to go in there and do the same stuff. The great boxers are going to go in there and learn from their mistakes and bounce back. When you had a fight like that you won when maybe you shouldn't have won it, and you see all the mistakes that you made, you have a lot of things to correct, and that's a good thing because if you can correct those things, that leaves less weaknesses for your opponent to kind of go back in there and fix. Jack Catterall can't suffocate him and close in on his space if Josh Taylor does a good job at backing him up. He can't do that. So there's going to be a lot of things that Josh Taylor is going to have to do, and there's going to be a lot of tests that Josh Taylor is going to have to, respond to. But I do believe that Josh Taylor is going to do it. I believe he's going to TKO him in the 9th round. I'm not saying it's going to be like brutal knockout fashion, but I think he'll knock him down, get him on those ropes or in the corner, start wailing off, and they're going to call the fight. So give me Josh Taylor TKO. With that being said, I haven't broken down an episode in a long time. I usually just pass on the Breezy, but I'll break this one down. I'm gonna say it right now. Make sure you guys tune in to the Puncher's Point. All right, we just keep on dropping episodes every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, and Saturdays when it's fight night. So make sure you guys continue to tune into the Puncher's Point. We're getting that YouTube up and ready. It's starting to pick up some steam, but we wanted to pick up some fire, which means we need y'all to go over there, subscribe, like, comment, share, and just tell everybody about the Puncher's Point, the podcast. Don't forget about that. We want you guys to go to the podcast and listen to what we have to say, because I'm telling you this right now, boxing media is strong and we are part of that. I'm letting you guys know that right now, but we need the support, we need the audience, and we need you guys to step up and be a part of the Puncher's Point. So with that being said, make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point.